That's it.
All right, guys, day my Max 6 with the champ, 4-time Mr. Olympia, Jay Cutler. Great in the great office, and very fitting because this is a muscle special edition Muscle Beach TV. 7 days out, I think, from the Olympia. What are we today? Actually, we're Sunday, so not even it's less than a week out from the 2020 Olympia. Jay, we had to do it in the office just so we get that Olympia vibe right now.
lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and Dave was there for many of those. I can't tell you how many obstacles we had to overcome to gain these trophies in 06, 7, 9, and 10. On this wall, as we're viewing here, there's a lot of silvers there. Were very disappointing silvers to us.
Yeah, the wall of greatness.
But for you guys that think it was always easy for me to win these trophies, when you're the champ and returning, and man, we had a lot of adversity, right? Some of those years, I mean, I remember laying in bed, wondering if I was going to make it to the show or not a couple times.
Yes. Yeah, I remember 10, 11, like pops in my head because you were so sick.
Yeah.
So sick. I think the best year, again, and we talk about this often, but I think for me the best year was, of course, 06 when you won it. But we're so nervous, and I remember texting with you in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning. You could not sleep because everyone's telling you you're winning. And we heard this before, so we're like, oh my God, I hope he's going to win. Because we heard that in 05. 05, I was really certain you're going to win, and that was such a disappointment. So we always think, okay, he's going to get it this year, but until you hear your name, you're on pins and needles.
Yeah, we were never... So we've been kind of, for the rest of our lives now, when we believe things when they kind of happen now. Yeah, we don't ever imagine something for sure until it's a done deal and it's signed, delivered,
that name. Yeah.
Everything else. So that brings us to the 2020 Mr. Olympia. Listen, there's a lot of divisions we could focus on. We want to get to the meat and potatoes, the big Sandow Trophy, which as you guys know, it looks different now. It's
much bigger now.
It's bigger now.
Yeah, like this big.
So I wish I could win one of those. And of course, the prize is double what I won. I won $200,000. That was the biggest prize I won. I think it was $155 the first year with the checks on the wall.
I had the checks. Yeah.
And I won $200,000, which was the peak. And, it's now $400,000 for first place. Wow. We have a couple returning, 3 returning Mr. Olympia champions, former, and some current, with Brandon Curry trying to defend and come back to win his second, which, man, that's difficult to do.
Have you seen the pictures? I'm sure you've seen the picture on Instagram. It's very impressive. So, of course, Phil's coming back, which is the talk of the town. But Brandon... he's got a lot on his shoulders. It's like the first time you came back in 07. It's tough. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think he's improved. I mean, looking at, it's really hard to judge from the pictures because pictures and kind of the pre-hype doesn't mean much, and that's why this video. I mean, I hate to make predictions. I'd rather forecast expectations, and then it's always going to sway because not everyone's going to show up. And there's actually 1 or 2 guys that now are absent from the contest. Which we kind of know today. But, he has a lot of pressure because you also have, some guys that are fighting for that title, including a 7-time champion coming back to try to win it, which, it can swing anyway. And you also have someone like Big Ramy, who's supposedly in his best shape ever, fighting for that. You come Dexter Jackson. Yeah. I mean, there's just so many contenders. And don't forget William Bonnick, who... Brandon Curry went back and forth with 1-point decisions. He was second last year. People seem to forget about him, and
always, every year, for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of hidden, and I know he's on his way. I don't think he's actually landed in the States yet, but this is what we know. Okay, it's Sunday evening here in Vegas. We head out for Thursday morning. We'll be present in Orlando, but right now, I'm not going to sit there and count down like what I think, but these are our contenders, right? You have Phil, Heath, Brandon Curry. Those are your guys that are, definitely vying for the title with, the closest Olympia championships back-to-back kind of. And then you have, you have Bonnick, you have Big Ramy, and then you have Dexter Jackson, okay? Now, there's probably going to be someone in the middle of that. I mean, Rolly Winkler was a guy we talked about. Unfortunately, the news is that he is not going to make it over here.
Just broke yesterday.
Yeah, so we're probably going to be absent with him. And Hadi Chupin is also a guy who was 3rd last year.
Is he not in?
He's not in the States yet. but we don't know if he's coming or not. I think tomorrow he has something scheduled. He's supposedly in the United Arab Emirates, and he's supposed to be trying to get here.
Okay.
If he does arrive, it's probably going to be Wednesday or two. The meeting's on Wednesday.
Wow.
I would expect to him rolling kind of like he did last year.
Yeah.
So those are definitely your front running contenders. But we have so many other guys that are like right behind there. You have Hunter Labrada, you have Ian Valier, you have
newcomers.
Yeah, we have who else we have? We have Antoine's in there. We have
Juan Morel's doing it.
Yeah, we have Akeem Williams.
That's right. No Kuklo this year, which is going to be kind of weird. No Kuklo.
Yeah, right? no. So it could be a heavy toss up between those guys, but I think Hunter's the biggest news of the year, coming and winning. His first pro show being Hunter Labrada, of course, Lee Labrada.
Yeah.
Who was, I don't know, he was one of my idols when I first
me
started.
too.
He was the first guy I ever watched guest pose at a show, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember the show?
Yeah, it was the Schenectady Iron Bodies. I actually won the men's and the teenage in that.
Oh, wow.
And he was the guest poser. So he was the first guy I watched guest pose at a bodybuilding show.
Was he in good shape?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing, actually.
That must have been something.
So I was surprised to see, like, he didn't look as much with his clothes on. And then when he took his stuff off the pose, I was like, damn, that guy's got some quality muscle, right?
Awesome.
So it was very impressive. But
I wish Sergio was there to compete. I would love those titles too, It's too bad he didn't make it this year. He wanted to, and I think he could have qualified. He just wasn't sure what show was going to happen.
Yeah, and the kind of thing, like, they were, if you remember, Sergio was under Labrada nutrition for a while.
They were both together. Yes.
And then, of course, Hunter came up and ended up coming up and being kind of a representative of that brand.
They were both amateur, both under contract.
Yeah. So, and I stay in touch with Antoine. I mean, we're really pushing for him. He won the Cali Pro. Ian Valier, two Canadian guys. Yes. We also have Regan Grimes in there.
That's right.
So Regan Grimes coming in his first one, and we have a couple other contenders that Lucas also did. Yeah, Lucas is in the show. So there's a lot of people that have been there before, and even Juan has been in the top 10.
Yes,
and he's a guy that's thriving with his business now.
Yeah.
So busy. He's been super busy. I actually texted with him a little bit this morning. He was packing the cookies, I think, for the week on the truck before he headed out to head to Orlando. So, I mean, that's kind of like where business is taking over.
I know. And Chris was helping him out. He called me and went over there to help him out a little bit. I do a little bit of what he did with Sergio. Not at the same level, but I was also speaking with Juan, and he was telling me that he's reaching that point where you were, and where it's really getting hard to juggle bodybuilding and business, because the business is like suddenly taking over in his life, not by choice. I mean, of course, it's a welcome thing, but now it's like to the point where, like, okay, what am I doing? I'm so busy with this. What do I do? You ran into that.
I actually told him so impressed with what he's done. I actually texted him that this morning, and he's like, "Man, I'm just trying to follow in your footsteps," which is very honorable, but at the same time, I mean, he's succeeding very well. I'm super excited about that. But listen, we have a lot of favorites. I mean, I have favoritism towards each guy for a little bit. Like, I want to see Bonnet prove the naysayers. Yes. I want to see Brandon Curry, because he's such a nice guy, and he did such a great job as Mr. Olympia. Yes. And a part of me, I remember Phil Heath meeting him when he was an amateur, and he came and stayed at my house. He sat here and played video games, and he's coming back. I mean, imagine tying Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney's record. I mean, that's what he would do. And of course, Big Ramy, we've been expecting to see him for so many years break through. But I would say, I'm going to go on a line and say I think Phil Heath is probably the most favored guy in this contest. Because he has the condition, the overlay of the muscles, just different. A lot of tie-ins. When detail wins the Mr. Olympia competition, when you have that complete package, as long as the midsection's a little cleaner than it was last time, and Sean Roden is absent from this, unfortunately. Yeah. This is one guy we'd love to watch this battle.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure Phil would want the redemption, right? And really try to stand toe to toe and knock that down. But unfortunately, we're not going to get to see that. Hopefully next year. So shout out to our buddy Sean Roden. I mean, he'll be there watching. He's there, I know, because Chris Aceto just posted a picture.
Let me ask you something. Do you think it'll be more pressure for Brandon to repeat, or be more pressure for Phil to try to get it back after losing it? That's
you got to look at. That's a good question, because you got to look at what the show has precedence around. And I feel that Brandon Curry's the returning, right? There's that hype, but I think the hype train is like Phil Heath is coming back.
Can he get number 8?
Yeah, and you're chasing Mount Olympus, like not only the Sandow, but you're chasing
The record.
the record to tie. Okay, and you know, and I know, when you get to that 8, they seem to be a little more critical of how you look. So
it's an exclusive club.
So, you know, when Ronnie was 8 and then he was going for 9, of course I won, right? Yeah. And then when Phil was going to tie, you know, Sean Roden stepped in and beat Phil in overall quality, right? Yeah. So I think it's going to be a lot more pressure for Phil Heath because, listen, he's 41 the day of the show. Okay, time is not on his side, right? As you know, I remember he told me, he says, man, if I'm still doing this at 40, please smack me upside the head.
You may have to do
so
it.
I may have to go up to him backstage and say, hey, I
you asked me for this.
Yes. So, and Phil, if you're watching this, you remember this conversation because we had it many times. So I think he was like myself. I said I retire at 32. Yeah. I quit at 40. And for a couple years, you know, I'm like, man, you know, I got the itch, right? And I stayed away, and you know, now it's that's kind of sailed away. But you know, it's pretty amazing. Like we've kind of watched and Dexter Jackson, right? The guy beat me in 2008. Still at it, 51 years old, just turned 51. And
Benjamin Button.
Can you imagine if he was dedicated his last Mr. Olympia competition and he won?
Oh my God, what a story that would be.
I just don't know if he'd quit.
No, I'm telling you right now, I'm calling it. If Dexter wins, he is not quitting. I don't even know if he'll quit this year, to be honest. I know Dexter, and
he just put out a post, Dave, and he said, this is my last show. Okay. I know people are saying, but it's time to move on.
Okay.
So this prep must be really, and you're right, I'm not going to say that you're wrong, because he's like, this prep, you know, it must have been hard for him. He said it's the hardest prep he's ever done.
Well, I'm sure for everyone with the year we just had.
But he's been, you know, he trained under Brad Rowe, you know, formerly under Charles Glass. And he's been actually in California. This is the longest he's ever prepared.
Right.
He was there 16 full weeks, which we know.
But here, I think I know why he says that. Just the fact that he's not at Gold's training with Charles, training, granted, he's grateful to have Brad, and he still has the machine. And your training is training. But your environment is completely different. So maybe that's what was harder for him.
And, you know, the environment meant a lot. I mean, we talk about this every day. I mean,
of course.
Still to this day, like, I still try to choose a environmental gym to suit me best. You know, we can train at more quiet or more busy spots. I don't like it too busy, but I still like a little action, right? Because, you know, unfortunately, because of the scheduling and, you know, my lifestyle, I don't get to view a lot of social activity. Because I work in an office pretty much by myself from home. So when I get out, I like to interact a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with that, right?
No.
I mean, I'm so used to going weekend after weekend. So this year's been a little held back from all that. So, you know, besides on social media, being able to talk to my fans, it's nice to be able to interact.
And they so appreciate it.
Yeah.
I can see you talk to those young kids and everything, and you take the time to talk because you enjoy that conversation. And they just can't believe that. Like, I can't believe, even people watching the videos, like, I can't believe Jay's talking to everyone like that, and he's so interested in what they have to say.
Yeah.
That's great for you. It's great for them. It's just win-win.
And, you know, with William Bonnick, like, and Rowley, unfortunately, but I met them in 2007. They came to see me when I was overseas, and I was training in the Netherlands. And they both came to see me. They were both aspiring at that point.
Wow.
And it's funny, when I guest posted in 2008 in Italy, William Bonnick came over, and I actually have a front double bicep. I'm going to post this on Instagram prior to the contest. And he was so small then, you know, and we ended up double bicep together, and he was just a guy with a dream. So I have a connection with all of these people.
You're invested.
The only one I don't is kind of newer and came through rather quick is Howdy Chupin, right?
Yeah. Well,
even though I predicted him to be in the top 3 last year, you know, we've seen him battle in the 212s, and he stepped up. And I mean, he had an unbelievable showing last year. So if he does make it, that's going to toss up that top, you know, 4, 5, 6 a little bit. The question is who is going to jump from the outside and stir that up? And what I'd love to see is something like where Ronnie Coleman and myself leapfrog everybody and push somebody out to be able to get in there. And
it could happen. It happens all the time.
It could happen. But listen, there's so many other divisions, and we're not as familiar. But classic physique, we have a few people that really could do really well. I know Bumstead and Breon. That's kind of been the battle.
Breon's very hungry this year. Yeah, I think it's going to be one of his best showing. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. So and Ruffin he's in that.
He's
division,
great.
Right. So
yeah, Rough Diesel. Yes.
He's been coming on pretty strong. Yeah. And there's just a lot of great contenders, and of course the 212 division. I mean, we have Guy Cisternino in there. We have Kamal returning, and then
50 years old.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
He was never tell. And Derek Lunsford. I mean, he's a better contender. If he comes in spot on, I think he can.
Great potential.
I think he wins the show, but
he's got age on his side. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but no one wants to wait that long.
I know it's never fast enough. But I'm just saying, when you're just getting started, it's like, yeah, you want it, but there's something to say about age, maturity, and just the longer you do it, the muscle just looks different.
Yeah.
So I think that's what Kamal, for some reason, was able to stay healthy, no injuries, and just he looks unbelievable.
Yeah, and I want to see how George Peterson stacks up against these guys coming up from Classic and
great
sit back, and also the Giant Killer who's been there for many years.
Yes.
Sean Clarita.
Sean Clarita. Yes. What a transformation that guy is from.
I mean, I have a picture with him when he was like little.
Yeah, he's got the Dexter story.
He came to the expo and he was like taking a picture next to me. So, like, that's going to be. I think the 212s is actually like exciting to watch.
Yeah. And they're always in shape, sick shape.
Yeah,
because they have to really squeeze to make it to the weight.
I wonder what our buddy Jose will think watching this. It seems like he's training.
Is he going
over there?
I hope he goes.
I hope he is, but
yeah,
he'd be great to do the commentary and watch.
Oh my God, he would.
I don't know who's doing the commentary, but he'd be better to give a little insight on.
And he's funny. He's got that great sense of humor, I hope he makes a comeback, man. I told him we talked about him in the last video, but Justin Joaquin was giving me a kick out.
Yeah. So this is a little different, guys. Like, we're kind of doing this preview, and we kind of wanted to talk about the Olympia, but originally it was supposed to be in Las Vegas.
I know.
And, Dave just moved here. And we're kind of situated. Then, a few weeks out, they changed the venue and changed, to the other side of the country. So we're heading out there. We're staying, right there, and hopefully we're going to get some things. I get Dave like a social media pass, so he's going to be able to do some interviews at Meet the Olympians and whoever's kind of floating around. I just think we're kind of limited at the show what we can actually shoot, but that might work out better anyway because I want him to actually enjoy and watch the show. Very rarely do we get to see a lot of the divisions because of the expo, right?
Yes, that's right.
This year they just have a fan pavilion going on, so it's kind of like an open thing with 30 booths. So it's not going to be like a real big expo. So I'm sure we'll take a pass through, but at the same time, it's not going to hinder us from being trapped up all day long with meet and greets where we might be able to watch some of these lighter divisions because I think it's in a different ballroom.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so it's not going to. There's going to be a main stage room, and then they'll have the women's and of course all that. They brought the Miss Olympia back, so they have the bikini and there's a lot of featured classes, and then of course the amateur Olympia is happening. It starts on Monday, I think it starts. Check-ins and everything.
I kind of have more of an interest in bikini this year, just because we feature so many of them. So I know them personally now, so I can't wait to see how they do. Because so far, what we've filmed so far is really good. So I can't wait. To see.
So you filmed Janet, you filmed Jennifer, you filmed Laura Lee.
I filmed Issa,
she's returning. Did you do Atilia? No.
No, I will have her with Joey deal.
Okay.
So we'll get something with her.
And of course, Angelica's coming back. She's a former champion. I mean, there's some new girls.
Beatrice, 19-year-olds on the Olympia stage. I think it's the second time.
So I mean, for once, this is the first year ever. I think we actually know the bikini division.
I know because usually
you guys have seen this on the channel. We got Ashley too. Ashley's here. Ashley's competing.
That's right, Ashley. Yeah. That was very popular. Laura Lee, of course. Yeah. So we filmed a bunch. I'm glad. It was good.
Yeah. So I know Jennifer flies out tomorrow.
Yeah, I just saw her yesterday.
Laura Lee's already there. But it'll be good. It'll be a good show. It'll be a good weekend, and hopefully we'll have some updates for you guys. What we're going to try to do is we're going to try to kind of do what we kind of done way back in the day. So we're going to do, hey, this is us flying because we're all flying together.
Yeah.
So you kind of see, Andrew's going to fly out with us too. So we'll have the dogs with us and, getting checked in the hotel and get some real behind the scenes and see what it's all about.
We'll try to film as much as we can and just kind of piece it together and bring you guys along for the ride. So if you don't get a chance to go, at least I'll and we'll try to put it out fast so you guys can feel like you're almost there, sort of.
Yeah, so I think, I look forward to, you guys seeing this. Let us know what you think for the comments below. If you aren't subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe now. But more importantly, do you agree with what we say? Is there going to be, who is the underdog of this contest? Who do you think is going to be the one that breaks into our suggested top 5? That's the big question. If you guys are it doesn't matter what division it is. If I'm forgetting someone, I apologize because we have a lot of new faces moving up, and I'm sure there's going to be some surprises. But big question mark: who's going to win the Mr. Olympia? Who's going to win the Big Sandow? Classic physique, is it going to Breon or is it going to be Chris Bumstead? And of course, 212. Is Derek Lunsford going to reach his destiny or hold him off? Who's to see? Issa repeat in the bikini division.
That's right.
And we'll see. We'll see what happens come 6 days from now.
That's right.
And for JayTV, man, Dave and I will see you guys
in Orlando.
At the Mr. Olympia 2020.
Boom.